We always seem to start late. I don't know why. So, the topic for this week, week 15. It seems like by the time we know it, will be on week 25 or week 30. That's how long it seems that COVID-19 is going to carry on at this rate. Anyway, exciting topic. What makes supply chain professionals superheroes?
Who's chatting?
So I think most of you are, what did we call you? Groupies, our regulars, and you all know what Community Connect is about. This is our really exciting real life community in the picture here. We don't have to use images anymore. This is the real McCoy, happy people enjoying SAPIC sessions. Hey, this thing. Okay, so we've got a small enough group today. Let's say hello. And I really want to know who P&L is. So P&L, I am going to choose you to do an introduction of who you are and a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
They don't know their P&L.
No? Okay. Let's try somebody else.
Send them a message.
Ranesh?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I'm from Optimum Learning Technologies and the business development consultant. So I work closely, I'm sure you guys would know with David.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, welcome. Is this your first session, Ranesh?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Hope you enjoy it. We look forward to your feedback.
Thank you so much. I'm sure I will.
Okay.
Those of you who don't know, Optimum Learning is one of SAPIC's authorised education partners.
Thank you, Jenny.
Hello guys, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, P&L. I had an urgent call come in from one of our clients, so I couldn't talk and I'm like, wait. It's Irina from Optimum Learning Technologies, that's the procurement and logistics.
Oh.
And,
Now you have
sorry
it.
about that. So I'm also one of the business development consultants at Optimum, and yeah, we deal with you guys quite often, almost every day. So I thought it would be interesting to log into one of your sessions and get something refreshing, you know, to help with what we do every day and to understand our clients. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Welcome.
Thank you.
And again, we look forward to your feedback. Stephen, now that you are right side up, do you want to say hello? Oh, I think he's gone now. There you are.
So hi everybody. I came into the school upside down. The better part of me was facing upwards, but we managed to get that sorted. Stephen, I'm from CHEP. I look after our African countries, our sub-Saharan African countries.
Okay, you've been on sessions with us before, because I think we ended up in a chat room together.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I try and whenever I'm available, I will try and join. I find it very interesting. Yeah, so it's not something that I want to miss. So thank you very much for putting it out there. 15 weeks in I think I've 3 or 4 or 5 calls or whatever it is. But thank you very much for your effort in keeping us sane.
No, and thank you for supporting us. As any of you know, well, the long-standing people that are here will know, CHEP has been a incredible supporter and partner of SAPIC's, I think, for probably 30 years now, going strong, and they will once again this year be a sponsor and partner of SAPIC. So, yeah, they are good friends of ours. They're family. So I'm going to leave it there for the hellos, and I want to this mouse of mine. So I want to look at the normal definition of a superhero. A person who does heroic deeds and has the ability to do them in a way that a normal person couldn't. So in order to be a superhero, you need a power that is more exceptional than any power a normal human being could possess. and you need to use that power to accomplish good deeds. So the question we have to ask ourselves in this session is, are supply chain professionals superheroes? So a few people were asked this question, and this was their input.
Being able to react to change in demand within 24 hours. I think it's leveraging our global supply chain. We utilize a supply chain around the world. We utilize suppliers that are both small and large in regions all over the world.
Having an integrated planning system.
Accuracy. Customer service, I would say. Being able to stay in touch with the customer, know what their needs are, understanding what their true requirements are, being able to gain that trust.
My supply chain superpower is visibility.
My supply chain superpower is predicting what the customer wants before they even know they need it.
So, I mean, the last two have quite some superpower going there. Visibility and the ability to predict what the customer wants before the customer even knows what they want. So these were some of the comments that came through. And after doing a little bit of research and looking around, there were some interesting things that came through. So if we look at earth protection, being able to do that, is it a superpower? Is it something that we should be applying a lot of effort to? Obviously, sustainability is a big topic at the moment, making sure we're doing responsible buying from ethical suppliers and organizations. One of the interesting things that came out here, and I can't remember if I left it in the bottom here. They talk about sustainable suppliers are automatically considered in sourcing contracts and procurement processes and receive a bonus due to their sustainable business practices. I mean, is this common practice in South Africa to give our suppliers bonuses for maintaining their contracts and sourcing qualities, etc.? Anybody want to weigh in there and give us some insight? Does anybody know on that area of the business?
So,
No.
Tanya, in my experience, it's Dave here. In my experience, there are financial advantages based on customer performance. They normally come in the form of either quicker payments from the customer, or a percentage of your payment is increased. On the flip side of the coin, there are penalties when there's always both sides of the coin. So there are penalties if the supplier slips up as well, so that it becomes a two-way street. You can win and you can lose. So in my experience, that's what I've seen that happen.
Okay, so some interesting talk about onboarding, qualifying, segmenting sustainable suppliers, and sustainable suppliers and ethical suppliers are I think top of mind at the moment and have been for some time. There's a lot of work and investment that goes into this by most organizations, especially the big organizations that have got big brands and reputations to protect. And as consumers, we want to be comfortable knowing that the goods have been sourced from suppliers that are ethical and are, meet certain global, what do they call it, sustainability, the green area of things. I don't think there's enough focus on that by a long shot. I think there's a lot more that can be done. I know in the USA they have a specific tax that you are levied as a transporter for your travel and your release of carbon or your carbon footprint, something along those lines. I'm not sure whether we pay that currently in our fuel, in our petrol levies or our petrol payments, but that's something that I think that we'll see a lot more of. Another thing that's come up as well that I found to be incredibly interesting is modern day slavery. So it was a post that I saw on LinkedIn about a week ago, and this is a real thing. This is still happening. It's real. It's all over the world, and it's especially prevalent in Africa. So it's something that we as consumers need to be cognizant of. And as supply chain professionals, we need to make sure that we're on the right side of doing the right thing here. So for me, looking after the earth would definitely be a superpower. I don't know how you feel.
Tanya, can I just jump in here quickly? This year's Fresh Connection Challenge actually included the carbon footprint, which was very interesting. Gave us something
really?
completely different to think about. Absolutely, yeah. So who you're going to get your raw materials from, how long do they take to get there, how are you going to get them, et cetera, et cetera. There was, it was quite interesting this year, putting in that carbon footprint into the challenge.
And when did they have it, Ken? Did it have the impact of the COVID included, or was it excluded from the content?
Well, it was and it wasn't. This year was really about risk and about carbon footprint. Although we didn't have viruses, we had crop diseases, we had pirates, we had volcanoes, hurricanes and tornadoes and things, and also strikes. Even strikes down into your warehouse. You know, if your guys in the warehouse, they're going to go on strike. So yeah, we had quite a lot of risks that we had to take care of, and then ultimately in the last carbon footprint thing, which was a real curveball. But no, yeah, that's Fresh Connection. Great. We need to do that.
Sorry, I have a very angry dog in the background there. If anybody can hear the barking, I'm just going to go and kick her outside in a moment if she carries on. Sorry. Can everybody just hold their thought for 2 seconds? I'm really sorry. Gucci, that's rude.
I think, isn't it, that CHEP is really, I think I put it in the chat, but CHEP is doing a lot around carbon tax, carbon footprint, etc., etc.
Oh dear. Sorry about that. That is really embarrassing. Yeah. So on the back of what Jenny's talking about now, Stephen, if you're still with us, do you want to just give us a little bit of insight into what CHEP are doing? Because this is a big driver for you guys, and I know that you actually have a farm where you do a lot of your own sustainability initiatives, like planting trees and growing forests and all sorts of good things like that.
So thank you. So if we just take it a little bit further away from us, so we are number 2 or number 3 on the sustainable index, on the Dow Sustainable Index in America for a worldwide company. We're number 1 in a non-recyclable company. So that's for the last couple of years. So you know, we try, and that's one of the things that where we try and excel and want to assist our client base with. And our business model is of such that, you know, we can come in and do that. With closer to home, I'm correct, yes, we've got, so CHEP worldwide, and in South Africa, well, Africa, we only use FSC accredited timber. That's, it's a worldwide accreditation, where the farm's got to be sustainable. There's a lot of how can I say, a lot of points that they mark you on to be accredited, but the big thing is the sustainability of our timber farms. And then of course you know, the product that we have in the market, the pallet. I mean, if we compare a pallet for you know what we've got floating in the supply chain, and if it was just disposable pallets, it would have been a couple of trees more that would have been used in a year than what we're currently using. So so yes, we try also with our customers to bring the carbon footprint, how we can assist them. We've also got a tool that we can measure the customer's carbon footprint. Interesting, not everybody at this stage has got sustainability or carbon footprint as a high priority. Of course, your blue chip companies, definitely, and your multinationals, but some of your bigger local customers, they're not there yet. But as one of the participants said earlier, it will get there, where it will become not a necessity, but a great to-do thing, because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, thanks for that, Stephen. And I think you're right. I think it'll be one of those hoops that you have to jump through in order to qualify to be a supplier. Is what is your sustainability plan? What does it look like? So I think that's going to be interesting. And just another little tidbit for anybody that wasn't at the SAPEX conference last year. CHEP actually basically sponsored the purchase of carbon credits. So for every person that attended the conference, they calculated their travel, what the carbon footprint of their travel, their hotel accommodation, their attendance at the conference, and what that impact would have been. And they purchased carbon footprint credits, which then goes into a project. And if I'm not mistaken, it had something to do with providing stoves or cooking equipment somewhere. So there's lots of good stuff that's being done to incentivize people to be more cautious in that regard. But I definitely think that if we can do this, we should be doing this. It should definitely go down as a superpower, is looking after the earth. And then we come and we look at something like light speed superpower. So trade wars with rising tariffs are the new reality. You need fast visibility into affected products, components, suppliers, and regions. Information needs to be understood and considered in sourcing and awarding. And this sometimes requires quick adjustments to be made, new suppliers to be brought on board quickly in order to avoid additional costs. And I think that this is probably a very, very strong point in terms of what's happened with COVID-19. I think that would have certainly had a big impact on this, especially where you weren't able to get your goodies, your PPE equipment, and the like. In terms of the trade wars, does anybody want to unpack some of that for us? Anybody on top of what's going on with regards to that from a South African context? No. No trade wars. Okay, so.
Well, Tonya, as far as speed's concerned, of course, it's all about flow. So we need to get better flow in our supply chain. Smaller quantities, coming more often, being much more agile, wrong lead times with large MOQs. So, this is what DDMRP is all about. So I think DDMRP is, if you look at it in the supply chain.
So we could bring DDMRP in as a superpower, or you could use it to your advantage as a superpower. So light speed power is one such superpower, and this one's really, really, really important. And I think more than ever before, collaboration. So if you look at the Avengers and the Justice League, a group of superheroes is stronger and more powerful than a single superhero. So likewise, do companies that compete in a global network need to be able to connect and collaborate between various business partners, such as component suppliers, raw material suppliers, contract manufacturers, logistics providers, etc. So visibility comes into this as well. Visibility across the supply chain is essential and can be achieved by sharing forecast, order, component consumption, inventory, and logistics insights. Collaboration is something that I don't think any of us can put on the shelf. I mean, I'm in terms of SAPEX, and I'm talking purely from a SAPEX perspective now. We've had to go out of our comfort zone, or what we are familiar with, and we've had to go out and collaborate and test new partnerships and try new things, because the current situation requires that collaboration for a lot of organizations and a lot of people is the only way that we're going to survive. So how many of you can say that your collaboration or your efforts towards collaboration have ramped up sufficiently or substantially since COVID-19? You can just wave your hands. Dave? Do you want to talk on that point, or you want to wave your hand?
You told me to just wave my hand, so I did.
Okay. Anybody else want to talk? Yes?
Yeah, Tonya, I think if you look at the Apex CSCP certification program, I would say about 50% of that program is about collaboration, collaborating with your suppliers, collaborating with your customer management, customer relationship management. It forms a very large part of that certification. So it's an incredibly important part of the supply chain. We're not isolated in the supply chain. We can only going to get our products to the market with having a lot of friends in the marketplace, and we need to collaborate with those, have those relationships that we're fighting all the time. We need to be working together and collaborating. So yeah, so see with the collaboration.
There has been some really nice collaboration that I've seen, and I'm sure you've all seen it, between the big grocery stores, Pick n Pay, Woolworths, Spar, Checkers, working together, which is really, really nice to see. And I think that we definitely need to be doing collaboration. We need to do more of it. And we need to embrace it and not kick against it, because as Jenny always likes to say, together everybody achieves more. And that is very, very much the case, especially now in these really, really difficult times. You need lots of friends on your team.
So Tonya, just to pick up on that and following on from what Ken said, if you look at the current cultures within industry is very much the linear culture, okay? And within that, your value chain starts at your gate and ends at your gate. Whereas if we look at systemic thinking, okay, well, sorry, just to step back, a result of that is that negotiations that happen between yourselves and your suppliers generally are a win-lose negotiation, where you as the customer would negotiate from a position of power and would try to get the best price out of your supplier at the best terms to suit yourself and not necessarily your supplier. Whereas if from a systemic perspective, you're looking at collaboration. That is what collaboration, well, the systems thinking is all about, and bringing your supplier into your value chain as a part of your value chain and working together to provide the best solution to the market. So instead of screwing your suppliers over for price, you work with your suppliers and you come up with better solutions on both sides of the continuum to actually deliver a quality product to market on time.
Agreed. And I think
I'd just like to add that I was just going to say, your company is only as good as your suppliers. If you've got lousy suppliers, you're going to be a lousy company. So make sure you're dealing with the best and you're not upsetting your supplier. Pay them on time. Because if there's a shortage of material, who are they going to person who delays the payment? They're going to give it to the person that pays on time or even before time. So make sure you guys do not upset your suppliers. Otherwise, they could fire you as a customer. And I've seen it happen.
It's an interesting way of looking at it, but yes, I mean, that certainly could happen. You don't, as much as a supplier, I have heard stories, and I don't know if these are true because I don't work in this specific industry sector, but and this used to be the case, it may have changed in the automotive industry. apparently the big motor OEM plants are quite dictatorial in terms of what they want from the suppliers, to such an extent that they are bullied in what price they're allowed to charge, what their lead times are, etc., etc., etc. So I mean, this is a comment that goes back a couple of years. I don't know if it's changed, but that was very prevalent then. And that was a few years ago. So, but again, going back to Ken's point, at the end of the day, you need to be looking after your supplier, or I mean, you know, as a customer, do you want to be fired?
Tanya, it still holds very true in both in the retail trade, both the clothing and also consumer goods. In retail, it's still very, very strong, that culture.
It's actually very sad. And I mean, if you look at it from that aspect, are we going to be able to onshore or localize effectively if we have that type of bully mentality, or we practice those bully tactics? So these are the types of things that from a country collectively and growing our economy, these are the types of things that we need to look at. But I mean, that's big picture, and that's a discussion, I think, for a different day. That's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
Another superpower is mind reading superpower. And I have to just tell you, I don't think there were too many people with a superpower when COVID arrived, because they definitely didn't see this one coming. So again, we talk about visibility into experiences related to your brand, your products, your customers, essential for early detection and mitigation of a social media crisis. I mean, let's talk about that. How many of you here within your organizations have had a social media crisis? I think that any of you that attended the conference a couple of years back, we had Emma Sadler, and she's a lawyer that talks to social media and how you behave on social media. Has anybody had a direct experience with a social media crisis? Because they do happen.
I think there's it's not directly a social media crisis that affected us, but I was talking to somebody who is from Johnson & Johnson in the States, and they were talking about, I think it was about 40 years ago, when they had a massive scandal around baby powder or baby lotion, something, and they were saying that they took an advert out, they apologized to the public, etc., and everything was fine, and they managed to get away with it. But had it been today and social media had gone viral, then probably Johnson & Johnson wouldn't be here today. And I think that it's the speed with which social media has an impact that is what's so scary about it.
That is very true, and to have your eyes on that ball and to be able to keep track and visibility on everything that's going on social media platforms, wherever it is, about your products and services, and making sure that there is not, I mean, Hello Peter. I mean, how many people have gone to Hello Peter? Because I know I've had a rant on Hello Peter. How many organizations are actually looking at Hello Peter and responding to those complaints and those inquiries? It's scary to know that most companies don't. So that doesn't help their reputation. But visibility is a big thing, and it's topical all the way through the supply chain. So whether it's from this aspect or visibility on your suppliers, their ability to supply, visibility is probably one of the top things at the moment that we should really be looking at in terms of supply chain management. So mind reading is definitely a superpower that we all need to have as supply chain professionals. So if you look at a superpower, a supply chain superhero, these are just some of the attributes that you would be looking at. And these are not the technical, but the softer side of the skills. And I think we've talked about that in one or two of the other sessions. So models agile values, the ability to move quickly and swiftly, courageous, not afraid to take risks, deep understanding, experience of agile and lean thinking. I think more than ever, I mean, agile just keeps on coming through, especially now. We've been talking about agility in supply chains and adaptability for years, but that really rings true now more than ever. That we really need to practice what we've been talking about and preaching. Communication, inspirational leadership. You know, if you want to get your ship going in the right direction, you need to be a good leader, and you need to make sure that you can take them in that direction and empower your people to want to move in that direction. Multi-skilled lifelong learner. Ken can talk to this one. He can attest to this. You should never stop learning. As a supply chain professional, it is your responsibility to stay up to date and in touch with what is going on in supply chain management. Supply chain management is the one profession that never remains the same. Everything that you know about supply chain management will never remain the same the next time that you look at it. It changes all the time. So this is a critical component to being a supply chain superhero, is lifelong learning and keeping your skills up to date. Problem solver, you need to be able to work on solutions, and that doesn't come to everybody easily. I don't think. I think that that's an attribute that certain people have and not others. But I do think that you could possibly be developed to adapt or enhance your area of skill in that area. But problem solving, definitely. I mean, if you look at the current state, and we always go back to the COVID-19, we needed problem solvers. We definitely needed those. And an agent of change. Change management is prevalent in supply chain management, and your ability to adapt to change and to push for change, adopt change, and make it happen within an organization is a really, really good attribute to have. If we, and I mean, I always go back to the DDMRP because it's an easy scenario for me because Ken never stops talking about it. So it kind of just gets stuck in my head. But if you, for example, work in an organization and somebody has come forward with this idea, they've heard about this great demand-driven, this flow mentality, and we should embrace it because this is what we can get, X, Y, and Z. You've got to convince leadership that that's the way to go. But not only do you need to get leadership on board, if they do, the effect of implementing or making that change, that's a big change management project. And some of the the demand-driven projects that have happened, the biggest challenge that they had was not sifting through their data and training their people. It was the ability to change the mentality of the organization into adopting this new way of thinking. And let's be honest, in most cases, that's where most projects fail, because people will not embrace change. So it's important, and I think as a attribute for a supply chain superhero, you need to be an agent of change. You need to influence change, and you just need to be able to get on with change. Any thoughts on that? Change management is a big topic. It's big. I think that's also a topic that we could talk about for hours. Any thoughts, inputs?
We've all got to get better at trying to adapt and trying to embrace change. I think as a human species, a lot of us are not good at doing it or accepting it or liking it, but we need to just buck up and get on with it, I think, sometimes.
Yeah,
I think one of the biggest things about change is about education. It's about educating people and trying to change aspects, showing them how new things can work for them, what the benefits are going to be for them as well. So I think education is a big part of management. And if you don't do that education, people will not change. But jeepers, I must be the oldest person online here, I think, today, and boy, have I changed, because I started working in 1960s. And boy, have I seen change. And I've had to embrace change. I just love change. We're not forward, and we're going backwards. So it's probably the most important part there. But you mentioned multi-skilling and lifelong learning. Absolutely. Learned at university, I've had to unlearn and relearn. And even when I started at SAPEX 30 years ago, what I learned 30 years ago at SAPEX, I've had to unlearn and relearn because things have changed. The whole supply chain management has changed in those 30 years. Recently, at what we were talking about in our conferences, number 11 was the first one I went to. What we were talking there was, master scheduling, inventory accuracy. And when you look at the subject matter that we have today at our conferences, it's like chalk and cheese. I mean, it's unbelievable change. Have to keep learning. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Go and get some more certifications.
Yeah.
I'm challenging anybody to get more than I am.
Yeah, no, not everybody wants to take exams all the time, Ken.
No, you mustn't.
Just as a point of interest, Tanya, I was reading, and I can't quote who said it, but the illiterate of the 21st century it's not about reading and writing, it's about unlearning and relearning. If you don't have that ability, you will be considered illiterate.
Yeah, I think I've actually heard that saying a lot in recent weeks, and Sean Cooley actually spoke about it in his presentation. You need to.
Yeah, I think it comes from Alvin Toffler, actually. Alvin Toffler, I think, said that. You must learn time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So everybody needs to take that on board, and don't be afraid of it. I think the biggest problem with change is and like Ken says, if people aren't educated, they need to understand what's in it for me. Is it a threat? Should I be scared? Is it going to add value to me? Is it a threat to my job? These are the typical types of things that go through people's minds whenever there's some sort of change happening. So I think as long as people are educated and they understand that it's for the greater good of all and there's no threat, they are more inclined to adopt it. But it's still not an easy sell. I think that's a given. We all know that. So I had to do this. So Jenny, you can take a screenshot of that if you want to now. So supply chain is hot and sexy. So there is some talk about the supply chain manager, which is repeatedly positioned as a superhero with a cape and someone that children aspire to become. This is the message that industry needs to promote in order to attract more talent to the field of supply chain management, to our profession. We're already in short supply. We already don't have a pipeline of talent. We don't have sufficient skills. It's a global problem, and it's going to take a while to correct that. Fortune magazine some years back have referred to supply chain management as the hottest job you never thought of. So any of you that are in supply chain management, well, all of you are in supply chain management in some shape or form, and you possibly never set out to do it. Do you have regrets? Do you have regrets? Would you have it any other way? Because I think a lot of people, especially the older people that work in supply chain, it was kind of default. You ended up there. It wasn't a choice. Nobody set out to say, I'm going to be a supply chain manager, because it really wasn't a thing. It's only recently now that the universities are offering qualifications and degrees and developing people with the skill set to move into that profession. So it definitely needs to be a topic of discussion. We need to be talking to the youngsters. We need to be promoting the profession. And most importantly, we need to be elevating the profession, because as they mentioned here, it's often an unglamorous image of a profession. It's not. It is critical. It is important. It is probably one of the best professions to be in at the moment, at all. So I'm very passionate about it, and I'm sure you all are too. So that's my take on it. So SAPEX did a press release recently, and it was published. This particular picture was published in Creamer Media's Engineering News. How COVID-19 is making supply chain management visible and sexy. Supply chain management is being seen as a sexy profession of choice. And the quote was by Richard DeSantos, one of our SAPEX directors, and here he is. He is now the poster boy for sexy supply chain. So I could not resist. He's probably not going to be pleased when he sees this, but I thought this is a good opportunity. And you can see Richard's young. Okay, he does have good genes, so there's a good gene pool. But Richard is young. He's been involved in supply chain management, I think from day dot when he started out. I think he actually started out in marketing, if I'm not wrong, and has moved into supply chain management, as kind of embraced it and just leapt into it and embraced it. But he's now moved to Denmark and is in an IT role. And I think, Jenny, correct me, is it still involved in supply chain management, or has he moved completely out of that?
Sorry, I am here. I just had to take a call. Yes, no, he's not working in supply chain management in his day job, but he is doing quite a lot of consulting in his not day job.
And he's not day
still
job.
supply chain. Still supply chain.
So supply chain is hot and it's sexy. So let's all just get that word out there and make it more appealing to people. So how do you keep your superpower? You don't just keep it. It's not like, you know, Superman has kryptonite, and your kryptonite is if you don't multi-skill and continue to learn. That's how you maintain your superpower. You learn, you grow, you develop, you share, you stay up to date with methodologies, best practices, technology, innovation. It is not a nice to have or I want to do. It is a must do. So as a supply chain professional, it's your responsibility to make sure you are on top of your game and you stay on top of what's happening within supply chain management. Because if you don't, you're not only letting yourself down, but you're letting the profession down. And ultimately, bigger picture here, you are letting down the economy, because supply chains impact the economy. So it's a pretty big responsibility for all of you to have some, to take that away. So while we're talking about developing and growing and honing in our skills and getting better and really growing those superpowers, we may have covered this last week, and I think that some of you have attended the launch session for the Africa Supply Chain in Action event that's coming up, 19th and 20th of August. It is an event that is for Africa by Africans. So we know that COVID-19 has hit hard, and we, in most cases, will look to Europe and the US for solutions. But I want to tell you that in Africa, we have some incredible solutions. We have some incredible businesses. We have some incredible people. Last week, we spoke about ingenuity in Africa. And some of the things that are coming out of Africa are absolutely incredible, world-class stuff. Why do we need to go somewhere else when we can look into our own continent for solutions? And we can help our country brothers and sisters in other African countries to help them fix their supply chains, to help them grow their businesses, to help them identify new opportunities. We have got world-class skills in Africa. And I think it's important for people to take note of that, because far too often we second guess ourselves and we don't think that we are all that and we have all that. We are supply chain superheroes in Africa. So the mandate of the event is to provide relevant, up-to-date, useful content to Africa for Africans, and to bring people together to network, to talk, to share, to exchange ideas, talk about what works, what doesn't work. You know, what have we tried? How has it affected us? You know, how do we see the future moving forward? It's going to be a two-day event, jam-packed program, really good speakers. The topics are very, very broad. We're covering lots of really good stuff. The conference platform will remain open for 6 months after the event, in which we will host webinars, workshops, possibly some mentorship programs, which will allow for not only sponsoring organizations, but delegates to continue to engage within the platform. So that's really exciting. And I encourage all of you to register to attend. It is not expensive. It's 1,500 Rand, including VAT. And I think for 2 days of a program that looks like this, panel discussions, and there was something else, I can't think of it now, but it's
Prof Lumumba.
Who?
Prof Lumumba.
Okay.
Who won the Best Speaker Award in 2012, all about anti-corruption on the African continent. Here's the chap who said, to be a good professional, you need to soar like an eagle and have the eyes of a chameleon. So there you are. He was incredibly popular and really has spent the last 8 years fighting corruption in Africa. So a very inspirational keynote speaker.
That will be an incredible keynote speaker. And I think that as a supply chain professional within South Africa, let's look at South Africa here, it's also your responsibility to give back to the profession. So as much as SAPIX hosts events and does activities, and in a lot of cases we do it and we don't charge the community, because as a professional body organization, it's our mandate to look after the community and make sure we share knowledge and impart new best practices and all those good things. But at the same time, we rely on you, our professionals, to help take care of us too. So by attending the event, you are helping us as well. We appreciate that budgets are tight, budgets are cut, but you still need to be learning. You still need to be out there getting tips and tricks to help your organizations to stabilize and move forward through these COVID-19 challenges. And the only way you're going to do that is to get out there and learn and find those solutions. You're not going to get it sitting behind your desk. So I want you to all take that on board. And I know that's quite a strong message, but I really, really, really believe quite passionately in the importance of doing these things and attending these types of events. Other upcoming events that we have happening is the Certified Supply Chain Analyst Program, 3 days. It's a nice entry-level, foundational level to supply chain management end-to-end. It's a really nice program. So if you're looking to expand a little bit or move horizontally and understand a little bit more about areas within the supply chain that you're not familiar with, if you're just coming into it, if you are looking to make a career move into supply chain management, this is a fantastic program to kickstart that. Community Connect will be on week 16, and I'm keen for some topics. So if anybody's got a suggestion, I would love to hear it. I think we've asked before, if you guys have got a pressing issue or something that you want to talk about, please tell us what it is. Let's talk about it. SAPIX AGM. And then the DDMRP basic training workshop with Ken, unpacking a little bit more about DDMRP, what you can expect, what you'll learn, and I think how it will add some value to your business. So that being said, I am done with my presentation, but I don't want you all to sneak off without a little bit of discussion and feedback and some thoughts on topics for future sessions. Any questions about the presentation? Because there have only been a few people that have spoken. There are lots of people that are very quiet. So let me pick on somebody. Okay, Ranesh, it was your first session. What do you think? Was it valuable to you?
Yes, Sonia, from my side, I found it very valuable. A lot of insights regarding the supply chain and obviously what's important for us to remember and how to expand our knowledge within the supply chain space. So for my first time attending the session, it was very useful, added some value to my thinking and the way how the supply chain operates as well.
Okay. Thank you, Ranesh.
Thank
And
you.
I yes.
Yeah, that's it from my side.
Is that it? That's you.
Yes.
So, and I think it's important for us to mention as well that SAPEX have an incredible pool of authorized education providers that offer a vast array of education, development, skills, training programs in supply chain management, everything from your basic picker-packer to your CSCP. Some of it's online, some of it's classroom-based. We've got a really, really good broad spread through our education partners. So if you're looking for something and some development, please just have a look on our website. You can have a look at who's who and who has got what to offer. Jenny's off mute.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think there are supply chain superheroes that we forget about. And quite rightly, people applaud our healthcare practitioners. But I think that there are moments when we all need to stop and say thank you to people like the truck drivers and people like the tellers at the shops. You know, they don't have the luxury of being able to stay at home and work from home. And they are all important parts of the supply chain, because without them, we wouldn't be able to get our stuff. So I read somewhere that somebody was talking about just be kind to the teller who has to sit behind their mask every day and handle our credit cards and handle our bags, that they don't know where they've been, and just be kind and just be polite. So I think it's something when we're all stressed, it's very easy to forget that sometimes.
No, that's a very good point, Jenny, and you are right. Especially in these times, we need to be kind. We need to be more mindful of what we say, who we say it to, and how we treat people, because at the moment everybody's taking strain, and we need to just practice kindness. Ken?
Yeah, Tanya, I think my supply chain superheroes are all those people that have decided that they wanted to become instructors, and they're going out there, they're spreading the message, spreading the word, because without them, the word wouldn't get spread and we wouldn't be able to progress. So guys, learners, my students, whatever you want to call them, that in today's world, I don't care whether you're in supply chain or in any career, you must continue every day. And if you're not actually learning something new every day, you should be standing in front of the class teaching something new to other people, because it's only by standing in front of people teaching them, that's where you really learn. When you start standing up there and teaching people about what it is you're trying to get across, that's where you really. My superheroes are all those instructors that over the years have come forward and gone out and spread the word. So well done, guys.
No, you're spot on, and we need more of those people. We need more of those people delivering that knowledge and sharing their skill and really just grooming the supply chain professionals of the future, but the current ones, and getting them up to speed. Daniel, you've popped up here and mute is off.
Mute is off.
Fire away.
Yes, I have to get something in here about education, because a lot has been said about education and a lot has been said about superheroes, but I guess in the supply chain environment, I find that, and I've, as an engineer who ended up in supply chain, I find that in both industries that we don't understand what education means. We seem to often get stuck in seeing education as, like Ken has just mentioned, you have to stand in front of a classroom and you have to teach someone. But I beg to differ. It's much bigger than that. The best teachers are the people in this meeting today. These are the instructors, in addition to the official courses and training programs and all those kind of things that's on offer. And I think we are one of the few countries where a lot is on offer. But with this pandemic, I predict that this whole scenario of standing in front of a classroom, or whether it's virtual or physical, is going to change dramatically. I've seen that in my company already, with our head office being in Italy, as I mentioned before, we've been in it right from the beginning. And we see already a trend in terms of these kind of people is that the demand or the requirement for the day-to-day on-the-job showing people, many of us are old hands, is the passing of knowledge, the passing of information, the sharing of information. We find that in a lot of our companies, and this is we spoke about collaboration earlier in your presentation today. We found that a lot of our business units in other parts of the world, they keep everything here and they don't share information. They don't collab, and that prevents proper collaboration. But when it comes to the sharing of skills, we've started a few years ago in taking engineers and trying to skill them in different kinds of technologies, because our companies are set up like that. Wherever you are in the world, you own a certain technology, and the associated supply chain team goes with that. So a particular supply chain team are used to handling a certain commodity, a certain part of our technology, and so they are specialists in that. The moment you take them out of the comfort zone, they don't gel so well, and we started cross-pollinating these skills, and a lot of it, and I can say that at least 50% of it has nothing to do with putting them in an official course. Our engineers, 80% of our company are engineers. My whole team are engineers, and these are supply chain experts, but they come from an engineering background. And one of the best facilitations when it comes to education, and we can go argue about what is the best definition of education, is us, the people that's been in this game for a while, and for many years, that has to share information, share the knowledge. Don't wait for a course to come up. Don't wait for SAPIX to publish a thing on LinkedIn. This is where the next opportunity, because it's all time lost. Every day, every minute in supply chain is an opportunity. We are all teachers. We are all instructors. We are all superpower men and women that has the knowledge that we can share with the younger generation. And that should never stop.
No. Mentors and coaches. Superheroes that do that every day on the job. No, Daniel, you're 100% right. Learning happens everywhere. It can happen all the time. And it's sometimes the simple things. And it's just something that you can learn from being with a colleague at work, something that they learned, something that they shared. So every little bit of it adds up and it all accumulates. And you're right. Education and learning comes in many, many different forms. And we need to, as supply chain professionals, embrace each and every one of them as much as we can. Where you've got the opportunities, grab it with both hands. So I haven't seen anybody suggest any topics for next week, in which case you are left to my mercy to what I decide, or so, unless somebody else is going to give me a topic. In fact, I want to pick on somebody else and let them put together a presentation and do it. Any takers? Any takers that want to run the Community Connect session next week? Come on, guys. Okay. It's fine. You'll be stuck with me again.
Tanya, I'll do one for you in 3 weeks' time.
Okay, cool. I'm going to hold you to that one. Okay. Thank you, Chantal. Okay, guys. So thank you all for being with us this afternoon. I hope that this was informational. I hope that you learned something. Even if it's something small, you need to learn something every day. And if it's your first time, I hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you that are our regular groupies, keep coming back. We love having you here. So That's me, over and out. Have a super afternoon, and we will see you hopefully all next week.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks
Tonya.
very much, Tonya. Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye,
everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, bye-bye.
I'm just finishing the meeting.
Was that song? What was that song? Because Daniel put in this thing, "Happy to be stuck with you." Isn't there a song?
Stuck with you.
Yeah, just went through my head.
Oh, bless him.
I think you got a groupie, Ton.
I think Ken's stuck. I'm putting him in the waiting room.
Frozen. Okay.
It's gone.
Hello.
I put him in the waiting room. Can we stop the recording?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we can.